special wastewater source reduction options through recycling, reuse, and other beneficial uses. The rationale for selecting the source reduction methods to be employed by the operator. And lastly, a quantification of flowback and production fluid generated by each well, which is recycled or reused either to fracture other natural gas wells or for other approved beneficial uses.
It sounds pretty specific.
Yeah, I'm wrong, obviously, but most of this is actually, I would say the quantification is provided to the department every 6 months, and the complete characterization would be required pursuant to the 26R requirements of the residual waste regulations. So much of the work is already done.
Okay, and operators are required already to comply with 9510B.
That's correct.
Isn't there also a reference to something of that nature to the, we have to have a reuse plan pursuant to Act 13.
That's right.
So we're trying to, I guess, kill two birds with one stone here.
So the requirement to submit a reuse plan as part of the water management plan requirements is fulfilled by complying with the requirements in 9510.
All right. Yeah, I don't have anything until 78 to 73. This gets us into the, I think, previous discussion we had about the orphan and abandoned wells. And I agree with you, we need to put this into a subcommittee form for further elaboration. But I think we talked about this before in terms of the surface landowner not letting on the property to do what needs to be done to monitor. And Scott, you said at least if there's a need for the operator to take action and the landowner denies access, the department will intercede.
That's what we've done in the past.
Okay.
I mean, we cannot have this now. Serious public nuisance existing without a remedy, and in my opinion, that creates potential threat to public safety. The department would have an obligation to take some action and frankly seek reimbursement for our action from the operator.
Yeah. Now, although the first part of this really refers to just visually monitoring the site, so you could potentially be denied access to even get on the site to monitor. Is the department willing to intercede just to get on the site to monitor?
Probably not. To actually have our people go on and do the monitoring during fracking operations, I would say that we would probably not be willing to do that. So obviously we could talk about as having a provision in there that, you know, if access is granted kind of language.
Yeah. That would be helpful.
Something like a single line.
You know what I mean? It's not allowing the operator to get on site to monitor. Would be a landowner, be as soon as
That's what we talked about, and it is a possibility under the Clean Streams Law, but I think that just by virtue of owning property that is causing contamination, but their activities had nothing to do with that. So I did not believe, nor would I recommend that the department take some kind of action against the landowner, because the monitoring wouldn't have stopped that from happening either. So I'll put that at the end here, if access is limited to service.
We were kind of thinking up front that the operator provided some incentive to allow them on the site. It might work. Not sure what that incentive would be.
Yeah, it's always money. And it's a question of how much.
Oh, that's the bottom line.
So until we get to, well, we go through, I was thinking there was the phase deposit collateral section that we're proposing to eliminate, and then there is the well record and completion report issues. Well record obtaining some amount of information regarding the support facilities that were utilized for drilling with the borrow pit, and then the completion report giving information regarding centralized and freshwater impoundments used, and that's it. Are there any comments on those provisions?
I just have, this is on page 67, 122, section 122. Number 8, right there, and I just passed it. Open flow production and shut-in surface pressure measured 24 hours after the suggested strike completion, put the wells turned in line, because you have a lot of wells that are completed and shut in.
Well, we've been calling completion because you're right, some of them will flow back though, and we want to get this information when the well is capable of being put into production. So if you flow it, basically we want to be able to get all of this information on one report. So when is a well completed is when it is capable of being put into production.
Well, and that goes to, never mind. Cancel it. Yeah, I don't have anything else. Tab, any other questions, comments?
General comment or general question, Scott. This actually came from Toyota and Pitt. Is the department doing anything, or can they do anything to explore how these regulations may be flexible under the small business provisions of Act 76?
Well, I think for the most part, we've made appropriate delineations based on conventional, unconventional, and the various risks or potential harms associated with that. So I guess what I would be asking for would be some specifics that folks thought were not appropriate and have a discussion about that. I mean, clearly the focus of these rules is by and large on the appropriate management of wastes. And we have drawn, I think, some important distinctions between pits that can be there for a very long period of time versus those that are there for a short period of time. So to the extent that there are other provisions that those folks felt were not appropriate, I'm obviously very willing to consider that.
I will give that some thought. That's fine. I know that there's an effort undergoing now by OGA to try to determine the cost that these regulations will impose on the industry, and I assume the department's doing a similar analysis.
Yes.
Will that be?
It's going to be part of our regulatory analysis form.
Okay. And that'll be part of the package that goes to EQB in July?
The Independent Regulatory Review Commission.
Oh, okay.
Is it on? Okay.
Okay.
Well, before we move on, I would like to ask for TAB's recommendation that with the various provisos that we agree to continue to discussion through a work group setting on the topics that have been identified, that we change the proposed rule or the draft rule, excuse me, as I have interlineated, as we discussed, but that TAB recommend that we offer this draft rule as proposed to the Environmental Quality Board, and recommend that they offer for public comment.
And that is pending condition on us forming these subcommittees and
Correct.
moving forward through the proposal period with developing some additional
Correct.
corrections, revisions, whatever.
Correct.
Scott, I think you and the department's been really outstanding in engaging people before we even got to the point that you had to. And that's greatly appreciated. So I would support, make that motion for TAB and endorse taking it to EQB.
Got a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Excellent, thank you.
Can we review, though, that's what we're going to do from the subcommittee standpoint? Make sure we have clear understanding of what we're going to look at, how many subcommittees we're going to form.